Deep in the green, leafy rainforest, where vines curled like spaghetti and rain dripped from tall trees, lived two very different, but very best, friends. Benny was a bouncy little tree frog with bright green skin and sticky toes. He loved to jump, bounce and spring from leaf to leaf with a loud whee! Plunk was the gentle porcupine with soft brown fur and little quills that puffed out when he laughed. He didn't bounce and he definitely didn't spring, but he did love to giggle and waddle after Benny's wild ideas. Every morning the forest sang with chirps and rustles, and every morning Benny would boing out of the leaves shouting, "It's a bounce around day!" Benny leapt from one fern to another, then bounced off a mushroom and flipped into the air. Boing! Boing! Flip! Plunk waddled behind, smiling. "Where do you even get that much energy?" "From my toes," Benny shouted, landing in a puddle with a splash. Plunk carefully stepped over the puddle. "From my feet, I get squish." They both laughed. "Come on, Plunk," Benny said. "Let's make a forest bounce path." "What's that?" asked Plunk, blinking. "A path made only of bouncy things," Benny declared. "We can jump all the way through." First, they found some springy mushrooms growing under a log. Benny leapt on one. Boing! "Perfect!" he squeaked. Plunk tried stepping on it slowly. It jiggled, then jiggled harder, then boop! Plunk flopped onto his side. "I bounced like a beanbag," he said. They found a patch of moss and a soggy leaf pile. Then a bent bamboo stalk that sprang when stepped on. They made a line. Mushroom, moss, bamboo, leaves. Benny jumped from one to the next. Plunk waddled behind, with some bouncing and a few plunks. "Let's turn it into a challenge," Benny said, eyes glowing. "One bounce per step, no touching the ground." He zipped back to the start. "Watch this." Bowing, squish, sproing, flop. "Okay," said Benny, laying in a leaf pile. "It's almost ready." Plunk stepped onto the bamboo. It creaked, then bounced him backward into a bush. Poof! Leaves flew everywhere. Plunk popped his head out, covered in twigs. "I think I win the wiggle bush dive," he said. Next, Benny spotted a vine hanging low. "Ooh!" he said. "Let's make a vine swing." He leapt up and grabbed the vine, swinging back and forth. Plunk clapped from the ground. "Come up!" Benny called. Plunk climbed slowly, gripping the vine. The moment he let go, whee whoosh! The vine swung sideways and Plunk spun like a twirling pine cone. He landed gently in a pile of moss. "That was a lot of vine," he whispered. Benny was already bouncing again. "We'll add that to the bounce path." They tied one vine to a tree root to make a wiggle ramp, then bounced off it into the next jump. Benny found the biggest mushroom yet, wide and smooth, shaped like a soft umbrella. He climbed up, looked down, and grinned. "Plunk! This mushroom is a slide." "Are you sure?" Plunk asked. "Nope," Benny shouted, and zipped down it anyway. Whoosh! He landed with a twirl in the mossy splash zone. Plunk climbed carefully, sat down at the top, then whoomp! He slid down backward and bumped Benny at the bottom. They rolled together, laughing and dizzy. "Best mushroom ever!" they cheered. By now the forest bounce path had grown. Springy mushrooms, a vine ramp wiggle leaves, the big mushroom slide, bamboo bounce, a squishy log, Benny bounced the whole thing 3 times in a row. Plunk made it once, with 2 flops and 1 wiggle spin. "I love this," he said, huffing. "But maybe it's time for a snack." Benny's eyes lit up. Picnic break. They found a soft spot under a canopy and munched on juicy jungle berries and nut biscuits. Plunk shared his favourite leaf chips. Benny shared his fizzy fruit sips. After lunch, a big gust of wind blew through. A giant leaf floated down, wide and flat and shiny green. "Let's ride it," Benny squeaked. They pushed the leaf onto the mossy slope and both climbed on. "Hold on!" The wind caught it, and whoosh! They glided down the hill like 2 fuzzy skydivers. "Whee!" shouted Benny. "Woo!" yelled Plunk. They landed in a pile of puffball flowers, which exploded in white fuzz all over them. They giggled and sneezed at the same time. "Let's show the others," said Benny. They ran to invite their neighbours. A sloth, who took a while. A tiny armadillo. 2 cheerful toucans. Everyone took turns bouncing the path. Benny led a jump parade, leaping high at every step. Plunk marched proudly, doing his best not to tumble. But when he did tumble, he made the best giggle noises. The sloth cheered. The toucans flew loops. The armadillo did a belly bounce that amazed everyone. The bounce path was now the best playground in the forest. As the sun began to set, golden light filled the trees. The shadows grew long and warm. Benny lay on the moss, blinking slowly. Plunk stretched and wiggled his toes. "We made a bounce path," Benny whispered. "We made a giggle trail," said Plunk. They lay side by side, looking up through the canopy as fireflies began to blink. "Let's do it again tomorrow," Benny said. "But longer," Plunk added. "And sillier." They laughed together one more time, curled into the moss, and let their full, happy tummies rest. As the stars peeked through the leaves and the night sounds tickled the forest air, the bounce path waited. It stayed soft. It stayed squishy. It stayed ready. Because in the rainforest, where frogs bowing and porcupines plunk, the fun never really ends. It just bounces back again